Most people think that they have a handle on Italian surnames. Northern names end in an I, southern names end in an O. It's a clean, simple rule that seems to help trace your heritage back to the boot. But what if I told you there's a place where this rule and a bunch of others just completely falls apart? A region that, by all historical and cultural logic, should be firmly in the southern camp, but whose names tell a wildly different story. This isn't Sicily or Tuscany. This is Abruzzo, a rugged mountainous territory often called the greenest region in Europe, where family names hide a fascinating story of cultural independence. What you think of as a clear north-south divide gets incredibly blurry here. The reason why reveals a history that's far more complex and rebellious than most Italians would ever admit. The story of Abruzzese surnames isn't just about names. It's about a people shaped by steep mountains, ancient echoes, and a stubborn refusal to fit into a neat box. For a second, just forget the stereotypes of Italian identity. We're going deep into the heart of the Apennine Mountains, a place that's geographically in the center of Italy, but culturally and historically southern. For centuries, Abruzzo was part of the Kingdom of Naples and later the Kingdom of the Two Sicilies, the great southern powerhouses of Italian history. Its dialects are even classified as part of the Neapolitan language group, so logically, its surname should follow that classic southern pattern. But they don't. And that one glaring exception is our way into a hidden world. The names here don't just identify people. They carry the echoes of nearly extinct languages, the legacy of ancient Roman legal practices, and the spirit of a people who were quite literally a world apart. Before we can get how Abruzzo breaks the rules, we have to know what those rules are in the first place. Italian surnames, all 350,000 of them, are a beautiful mess of history, geography, and language. But genealogists and linguists have found a few broad patterns that usually hold true. The most famous is the north-south vowel divide. Generally, surnames from the northern regions like Lombardy and Veneto tend to end in an I. Think of the names like Ferrari and Rossi. This ending often comes from a pluralization to mean the family of, or from the Old Latin genitive case meaning of. But head to the south, to places like Sicily or Campania, and the O ending is way more common. Surnames like Russo or Esposito are classic examples. This often points to a single individual, maybe a nickname or a description. While there are a ton of exceptions, this vowel-ending rule is a basic concept in Italian onomastics, which is just the study of names. Another big rule is about patronymics, surnames that come from a father's name. In the South, you will see the prefix de, meaning of or from, like in De Luca, of Luke. In North and Center, though, the prefix di, is more common, acting as a more direct son of. So you get Di Marco, son of Marco. These little differences, D versus they and I versus O, create a kind of linguistic map of Italy. They're broad strokes, sure, but they paint a picture of two different cultural seas. The North, with its history of smaller city-states and outside influences, and the South, with deep roots in Greek colonization and the powerful Kingdom of Sicily. These naming conventions are like a litmus test for Italian heritage. And when you put Abruzzo to the test, the results are baffling. To really get the confusion, you have to look at a map. Abruzzo sits right in the middle of the Italian peninsula, with its western edge only about 50 miles east of Rome. Geographically, it's undeniably central Italy, but its history and culture tell a totally different story. Since the Middle Ages, Abruzzo's fate was tied to the south. After the Normans conquered southern Italy, the region became a key northern outpost for the Kingdom of Sicily and its successors, the Kingdom of Naples and the Kingdom of the Two Sicilies. This political union lasted for more than 600 years, right up until Italy unified in 1861. This long history has left a permanent southern mark. The National Institute of Statistics, ISTAT, officially classifies Abruzzo as part of southern Italy. The local dialects spoken across most of the region are in Central Italian, the varieties of the Neapolitan language, which links them to Campania and other southern areas. The culture, the food, the economy, for centuries, they all lined up with the Mezzogiorno, the traditional south of Italy. So, with 6 centuries of history and deep linguistic ties, Abruzzese surnames should follow the southern model. We should be seeing de prefixes and a lot of o endings. But when you look at the most common surnames in Abruzzo, you see a huge contradiction. The list is packed with names like D'Angelo, Di Marco, Di Francesco, Di Pietro, and Di Carlo. They overwhelmingly use di, the patronymic form that's more common in central and northern Italy, not the southern de. It's a major anomaly. It's like finding a thick Southern American accent in the middle of Canada. It doesn't just break the rule, it makes you ask why the rule doesn't apply here. And the answer is in the very geography that makes Abruzzo so unique, its mountains. The dominance of di patronymics in Abruzzo is the most striking clue to its unique identity. While a name like De Luca is common enough in Abruzzo to show its southern connections, it's swimming in a sea of D names. This isn't just a tiny quirk, it points to a different way families thought about who they were. The southern de often meant of the family of, or was tied to a place more than a feudal idea of belonging. The prefix di, on the other hand, is more personal and direct. Son of John, son of Peter. Its popularity suggests a naming tradition that focuses more on the immediate family unit rather than a larger clan or feudal bond. So why did this happen? The mountains are the main suspect. The Gran Sasso and Maiella Massifs are the highest peaks in the Apennines, and for centuries they effectively walled off much of Abruzzo from the rest of the peninsula. This isolation let unique cultural and language traits survive and even thrive. Even though the region was politically tied to Naples, the capital's day-to-day influence was probably weakened by how hard it was to travel and communicate. This let Abruzzo keep or create its own distinct customs, including how it named people. It basically adopted a northern naming style while being a key part of a southern kingdom. But it gets even weirder. That's not the only rule Abruzzo breaks. The region also a hotspot for surnames with ancient, almost scholarly Latin endings. Surnames ending in the Latin plural forms is and ibus, like De Amicis, De Dominicis, and De Benedictis, show up with surprising frequency, especially in the northern parts of the region. These aren't typical endings for any other part of Italy, north or south. They're like fossilized bits of Latin grammar, hinting at a level of administrative or church record keeping that held on to classical forms long after they disappeared everywhere else. It's another layer of Abruzzo's special status. Not quite northern, not quite southern, but something else entirely. Something ancient. Beyond the grammar quirks, Abruzzo surnames give us a vibrant look into the daily life and language of the past. Like many parts of Italy, tons of surnames come from nicknames. But in Abruzzo, they often have a really rustic and direct feel. You'll find family names with names like Scimmia, which means monkey, Cavallo, horse, Cornacchia, crow, or Cipollone, big onion. These names paint a picture of small, tight-knit communities where everyone knew each other, and a physical trait, a weird habit, or a funny story could stick with a family for generations. A name like Pelliccione, furry, probably pointed to a particularly hairy ancestor. Ciofini, little tuft, might have been for someone with a distinct hairstyle. Even more fascinating are the surnames that preserve personal names that are now rare or have completely vanished from modern use. Names like Muzio, Asensio, Pinzio, Iorio from Giorgio, and Cola from Nicola are living relics of a time gone by. These aren't just names, they're linguistic fossils. They show us what names were popular in the region centuries ago, preserving a piece of cultural history that would have otherwise been lost. The name Adario is a patronymic that comes from the now rare name Adario. The same goes for Di Biase from Biagio and Censo from Vincenzo. These names highlight the region's cultural isolation and conservatism. In a world walled off by mountains, old naming traditions held on with incredible strength. While the rest of Italy moved on to new trends, Abruzzo held on to its Muzios, Iorios, and Censos. This pattern drives home the central theme of Abruzzo's identity. It's a place that has always marched to the beat of its own drum. Its history isn't just in books, it's encoded in the very names of its people, a living record of their independence, their environment, and their deep, distinct root. The surname itself becomes a form of cultural preservation, a story told and retold with every new generation. This dive into the names of Abruzzo shows just how much history can be hidden in plain sight. Every surname tells a story, but some stories are a little more rebellious than others. If you have Italian heritage, have you ever looked into the specific regional patterns of your own surname? What unexpected histories might be hiding in your family tree? Share your discoveries in the comments below. I'd love to hear the unique stories that your names tell. And if you enjoy digging into these hidden corners of history and culture, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next investigation.